Even Superman was Clark Kent at times. Welcome back to the Buzzwords Podcast, everybody. My name is Zach, and I'm here with everyone's favorite, Logan. How are you doing there, buddy?
I'm doing.
And
How you doing, guys?
how are you guys doing? Leave it in the comments. We genuinely like to know. Y'all don't ever comment, so just comment. Anyway, so the topic of today's discussion is taking off your cape. And I got this idea from the YouTuber Bad Brad, who is a musician on YouTube, awesome YouTuber. Used to tour with Colt Ford as his guitarist. Really good guitarist, really cool guy. I've actually talked to him before in like his chats, watching his music stuff, because I like to play guitar, for those of you who do not know, and I've been on his channel multiple times in his live chats, just messaging him, and he's given me advice. He's given me life advice, even, funny enough. So, I mean, good guy, solid guy, check him out. That's Bad Brad. Anyway, so, taking off your cape. So he did a video about this about a year ago, and he compared it to being a musician, being a working musician who tours and travels, and how basically the life can take a toll on you, and it can lead you down the road of, moral deterioration, physical deterioration. And he talked about Elvis a lot in that video, which when he was a kid was one of his favorite artists, still is to this day, he says, and how he believes had Elvis had just taken some time off, he might still be here today. He goes into the video really, really well, guys, so check it out if that intrigues you. But specifically what me and Logan are going to be talking about today is taking that same concept and applying it to any job in life. So Logan, what would you like to say before we lead into this for them?
Well, I guess in keeping with the topic of what we're discussing, it's just one of those things you got to learn how to balance it out, and know when you get to a point where you probably should take a break from whatever job it is that you're doing, and do it. Because if you get too what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to just say overstimulated, but I don't know if that's what I should say, in your work, then no matter how hard you try, it's going to drag into your real life, and then it's going to cause all kinds of different types of problems that you don't want to deal with. And yeah, it's just best if you learn how to balance out.
I'm so glad you said that. So burnout. Burnout is like a buzzword today, and I know we're called the Buzzwords Podcast, but we try not to use too many buzzwords just for clickbait or shock value. However, burnout is a real thing, and it gets talked about a lot more today than it used to. It's not just an internet fad. Burnout is a real thing. I know that Logan has experienced burnout in his life. I know I have experienced it, and I'm sure you guys have too. Now, just in case there's somebody watching who has no clue what we're talking about, burnout is basically when work gets to you so much, rather that's because you're spending too much time there, or you're spending too much time mentally there, or you're just getting super stressed about it. And it starts to bleed into everything, like Logan just said. So you start to mess up at work. You start to make silly mistakes. You start forgetting simple things about your job, maybe. Then you start beating yourself up because you're like, I should know this already. And you know where this is going. It just kind of goes from there. Then you come home and you can't let it go, and then you're not present with your family. And what Logan is trying to say is learn how to divide that, how to switch that switch in your brain. You're home, you're Clark Kent. You're out with your family, you're Clark Kent. I know there's a Superman reference here, but I'm just trying to play off what Bad Brad said, because I think it was a great analogy. You're at work, you can be Superman at work. When it comes to your job, that is. What else would you like to say about that, Logan?
I mean, no other way to put it other than that. I mean, like that analogy pretty much fit. I guess it could go both ways though. You could be Superman at home, but be Clark Kent at work. But either way, the point of the matter is,
Yeah.
just, just learn the balance. Learn who you are at home, and learn who you are at work, and keep the two separate because nobody wants to bring work home.
So, we just gave y'all the solution, okay? But how did we get here? I think that our culture is largely to blame for this. I think that our culture really just tries to engrave into your mind and into your being that what you do is your worth. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think that also like at least where we are, um, the way work is structured, like with the pay and then like how often you have to be there to get the money that you need to survive. Let's not even pretend this. There's a lot of people out there that work way harder than at least I don't know about you, but at least I have ever done. In terms of the job itself, like what the job entailed, and they make not great money.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that in itself can make you stress out and burn out, as you say, and make you not really know how to leave work at work and be at home. And I think there's a lot of things that probably need to get fixed when it comes to that. Like I understand wanting to work and the whole ideology of it, I guess, is the word that people say. Don't be lazy. Whatever. Go out there and make your money and stuff. And I agree with that. I do, 100%. But at the same time, though, it's like, why does someone have to sit here and work like freaking 50, 60 hours a week, and they make barely fucking anything to survive? I mean, dude,
Yeah.
mortgage is just way too fucking high. Rent, same thing, way too fucking high. Higher than mortgage in most cases. And food prices, dude, is just outrageous.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just like it's like they want us to be working and they want us to like live, or whatever, and have our own little house and all this stuff. But then, they don't pay enough to do these things. And freaking the last time I checked, I think minimum wage is still the same here. I don't know for a fact, but I think it is. And if you get paid minimum wage, get the fuck out of here. You ain't never gonna get anywhere if you're stuck on that. And that's bogus. That's bullshit. And there's nothing in place that I know of that would force these employers to pay more. So like, cause like I feel like at least pay enough. Like, even if it's the bottom rung guy, you got to pay this dude enough that he can live. You know what I'm saying? And then it's another on another side of the spectrum, which is a little off topic, but I just want to go ahead and say it because I thought about it. I hate when you go to try to get a fucking job, a job that fucking would help you in the end, but at the same time they're like, well, you got to have experience. How the fuck am I supposed to get experience if your bitches won't hire me?
Exactly. And I think that's when we all need to stop and realize that it was never about what you want. It was always about who's at the top, who's making the most money, etc.
Yeah.
And I know that people have their problems with capitalism, and people have their problems, and you have people out there who don't realize that our country uses socialism as well. There's a ton of socialism in our economy. It's not just fully capitalist. But neither one is going to solve the ultimate problem at play here, and that is that it's not really about the individual person. Like, people will say, well, socialism, everybody's going to get this, everyone's going to have that, and it's like, well, that may be true, but there's also a ton of negative consequences that are going to come from that, and I promise you the people at the very top are still going to get theirs, one way or another.
Oh yeah, they come first, always, no matter what.
And then in capitalism, at least you have the freedom to do anything, really, with little pushback. Now, are you going to be successful or not? Who knows? but at least there's somewhat of that. You have a lot more freedom than, and a lot. The government isn't as involved. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what else I think
But
is another problem is
what?
and just to go back for a second on the pay gap, not pay gap, but like the pay shit, it's like how much they pay here, like for most people. I feel like that's why like a lot of people where we are like to try to do music and fucking actors and all this stuff, and they try to do that outrageous stuff that isn't 100% gonna give you the money. It's because like, bro, that's the only like feasible way they see to get a good amount of money to live, because nobody else wants to pay enough. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm done getting off topic.
I mean, it all plays into the topic. The topic is, learning when to balance your work and your play. And if your whole life is work because it's set up like that, when do you get to play?
You don't. You just don't.
So what do you do? The solution, you have to
And then you
make
get
time.
depressed.
You have to make the time for yourself, even if it's hard. It's not going to be easy. But you
It's
can.
very hard. For a lot of people, it would be very hard.
But you can do it, though.
Because, well, yeah, you can. But a lot of people, they don't know how to manage their time and shit. And
do less.
they probably have, like, families. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then they're just like, well, I always got to work. I always got to work.
Do
I got to
less.
get the money so I
Live
can support
on.
these
So
people.
you do less. You live on less. You expect less, and you care about less. That's how you do it. Easier said
Yes.
than done.
I agree.
But you have
Yes.
to do that.
Yes, absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I've been told that in my life, because I have tended to have a little bit of a spending problem in my life. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Same here.
And I think a lot of people, actually are the same way. It just people don't talk about it. And honestly, damn, I lost my train of thought.
We were talking about the making time for yourself.
But yeah. It's just hard. Like I'm just gonna say it. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you're one of those people that have to work a freaking lot
Mhm.
to make very little. But I guess well, not a guess, but like when you're talking about like don't live beyond your means type shit.
Yeah.
I mean that's 100% true. Like you're not wrong.
Hard to
no
do.
one's wrong when they say that shit. It is very hard to do.
Because I'm
like,
even I'm living outside of my means now, and I didn't even mean to. I just slipped into some dental stuff going on and some other things, and here we are.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call that, like you said, dental stuff.
Yeah, I got a lot of money that I'm going to be paying dentists.
Well, see, I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even call that living outside your means. That's one of those things that you can't, that you might not even like be able to avoid type shit. I'm talking about like you always have the latest phone or the latest fucking greatest some shit.
Yeah.
And you technically shouldn't do it because you can't afford it. I've been there. I've done that. But I don't include like medical stuff. Like maybe it's just me. I don't know. As in like living beyond.
Yeah,
your
I mean,
means.
if it's not your choice, then you can't really do nothing about it. But then another thing too is how does your life look? Like are you single? Are you married? Are you married with kids? Your life is going to be different if you're married with kids than it is the single person who can do anything they want. Because I don't care what anyone says. If you're a single person and the only person you have to look out for is yourself, you can make it on minimum wage even.
You can.
So
maybe not the minimum wage that I'm thinking about, but like
bro,
you can make
what
it
is
on
like
way
seven,
less.
like $7.25 or something.
Yeah.
You can live on that if you're single by yourself. You ain't gonna have the best. You ain't
Okay,
gonna be
yeah,
in a mansion.
But here's
but
the
you
thing.
can
Here's
do
the
it.
thing. Here's the thing. It ain't going to be as easy as you're making it sound. It's like $7.25 is not a lot at all.
It's not.
And and even on 40 hours a week, if you get a job that's paying you $7.25 for 40 hours a week, whatever the fuck that is, I'm not good with quick maths, but that is not a lot of money at all. And
I mean, maybe if you're in high school.
I feel like that would barely get a. I don't even know. Would it even be able to pay for a place to live? Like, because you couldn't get a mortgage.
Not
right?
not
You
around
couldn't get a
here.
fucking house with that.
I don't know. Around here, nobody's making that low. I promise. Depends
There's
on where you
people around
live.
here that do.
Huh?
There's people around here that definitely make that right now.
Yeah, that's
But I will say that it's mostly like the little mom and pop shop.
yeah, and those places are a lot. I mean, it's a lower cost of living where you're at too than here.
Yeah, but it's also like, I mean, I ain't gonna talk that much shit about those people because it's like, when you go to a little mom and pop shop type shit, you shouldn't expect to go work there and get a fucking shit ton of money anyway. Like that's just not how that works. Like for most people, like that's a job you start out on and then you move on to bigger and better. Or that's a job where you already retired and you're just doing this shit just for shits and giggles. You don't do that as in like, you're trying to live your life. You know what I'm saying? And the reason I say that is because I'm okay with those people doing that. But there's big corporations, that they probably don't pay like $7.25, but they still don't pay enough for a motherfucker to do what they got to do, and then that leads into the taking off your cape type shit. Because if you're not getting paid enough, and you're stressing with that, like how can you not take work home? It's not gonna be easy.
Exactly.
It's gonna fucking suck.
And that's where it all goes into, no matter how hard or how difficult or how painful or how unfair it may be, you have to change your life to where you can actually manage it and live it. You have to take action in every single decision, down to you can't live here anymore because you can't afford it. You're moving to Kansas and buying a trailer or something. Like, it's got to get that serious, depending on your circumstances, right? And that's another thing too. Circumstances are real. I know today on YouTube, people always love to throw around, anyone can do this, but it's just easy. They make it sound easy. It's not easy, and circumstances are real in the real world. But you do always have the choice to live how you want to live. If you're over here wanting to live like in a mansion, like a celebrity, then you're just chasing pipe dreams, man.
Yeah.
That's no one else's fault. So here's the deal, right? And I mean this with the most respect and the most grace and care, like softness that I can ever have to somebody, because I may be talking to you, listener. If you're trying to do something outrageous out here, like be a famous something or something out there that's likely to fail anyway, and you're destroying your own life in the process to make that happen, you can't blame anyone but yourself. And I don't mean, let me finish. I don't mean that you're not trying hard enough. I mean that it's probably just not for you. Get over it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like, it's okay to want to try to, like, be a musician or an actor or something like that, but it's also, you got to understand that the likelihood of you actually making it doing that isn't as easy as these other people make it seem. It's not that possible. It's really not, and you got to understand that. You can't just, I hate working. I don't want to do this 9 to 5 bullshit no more. Whatever the fuck. I think I'm gonna go be an actor. Sounds good. Sounds good, but it's not gonna work out like you think it is, because there's a lot of actors out there, that try this shit, and it never pans out. It just doesn't work, and
most
it may
people
not even be
are
because
not.
of you.
Yeah, and most people are not gonna actually quit their job and move to Hollywood.
There's been some people, I'm sure.
Well, obviously there's been some people, or there wouldn't be people in Hollywood. But most people who are chasing these dreams and destroying their life in the process aren't willing to fully commit to destroying their life. They're not willing to get rid of the house they live in, the family they have, whatever the sacrifice may be, to go out there and do that, because they know deep down it's not as important as like the family they have or something. So if you're in that boat, then obviously choose your family, not some pipe dream.
Yeah, but since bringing up the family thing, something else you got to realize, people out there, if you have a family like me and old Zach do, you're gonna have to work a lot harder to balance the two out, because you do not need to come home and be in the most pissiest of shittiest moods and put it on your wife and your kids. You don't want to do that. That's worse. Like, it's one thing to be living by yourself and shit, and then you just bring it home and you're just pissed off all the fucking time. But you're alone. You're by yourself. If you want to fix that, maybe you can one day. You know what I'm saying? But if you have a family and shit, you really got to work extra fucking hard to not put the burden on them, so to speak. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to stress them out. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to, ruin their happiness because you're in a shit ass mood because your job fucking sucks. You don't want to do that. That's not fun. Nobody wants you. No, nobody wants that. And at that point, it's like if it fucks with you that bad, find something else. You know what I'm saying? That's what it all boils down to. If you get in a job that you think that you can't just not bring it home, you can't fucking be chill, then you don't need to be there. That's one thing I need to say. You do not need to work there. That place is not for you.
I agree.
Find something else.
And if you
it's
and if you can't even take control of the simple things in your life, then how can you even get mad at the job in the first place? Again, I'm not saying any of this is easy. I'm just saying it's real. Real is not easy. The reality is if you want something that bad and you can't commit 30 minutes to an hour to work on that thing, then whose fault is it, really? So take more responsibility, but also be aware of actual circumstances. Because there's a difference between excuses and circumstances. And what most people do is they either just use excuses all the time and treat them like they're circumstances, or they completely ignore their real actual circumstances because they don't want to be looked at as somebody who makes excuses. Both are just as devastating.
Yeah.
So just be real.
That's true.
Excuse me. These social media people, they're not real. I mean, they're real people, but like a lot of the stuff, these specific niches on YouTube, like these specific, this specific area of YouTube that you can find yourself in, the get rich quick, that you can do this to, the hustle culture, the how I made $10,000 a month from selling iPhones. I don't know. That you know what I'm talking about. That whole side of the internet, you have to realize most of it is bogus.
Yeah. These people don't live like that. Their hope is that they do this, and they'll fool you into giving your money to them so they can do that. But 9 times out of 10, bro, they don't live that way, right?
No.
But they make it sound so real. They make it sound so good. They make you want to believe it, and you're like, oh, hell yeah, I can do that too. It sounds so good. No, it's not real.
Exactly.
Get the fuck out of your head. It's not real. You're not going to do it. It's not that easy to make money. Right? I mean, well, I guess in some ways it could be, but not like that.
The easiest way to make money is to go get a job. The second easiest way to make money is offer a service that requires you to work for somebody in some way.
Yeah.
Or if you're a genius, develop a product that's actually useful, that people are actually going to benefit from, not something you made because you just want to get rich quick.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing. If you do it for that reason, because it tends, at least from what I've seen, or heard about in my life, more like, if you go into something and it's all about money, like 100%, like there's no other reason why you're doing it, and it's just solely for the money, I can damn near about guarantee you're not going to make any money.
Yep.
It's just not going to happen.
And you don't have...
Because your mind isn't in the right place.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't have to monetize every hobby you have. You can have hobbies and live a life and take control of what you like and care about without expecting someone to pay you for it.
Yeah.
That also goes into taking off the cape. You're not put here just to make money. And if your entire worth, your view of yourself is based on the value of money, then you are lost, my friend.
Yeah. And I know, like, okay, speaking of what you said, it definitely feels like sometimes that's all you're here for. Okay? Let's go ahead and get that out there. It definitely feels like that to a lot of people. Like, they probably think that. But the truth of the matter is, it's not that black and white, basically. You're here for a bigger purpose than that. And it's not all about money. Money's important. Don't get me wrong, but it's not. It's not the end all be all type shit. You know.
Yeah, if you actually just lived off of shelter, even with power and Wi-Fi and AC and heat, food and drink, you can make significantly less money, and you could even have enough for some vacations and some entertainment as well. And you don't even
Yeah,
need to make a
and
lot.
there's a lot of people out there, myself included, back in the day, who don't understand that, dude. There's so many things in life that you have that you do not need to have. You just don't. Like you don't absolutely have to have a laptop. That's not what I meant to say. You don't absolutely have to have Wi-Fi. You don't absolutely have to have television. You don't have to have it. It's good to have because it's entertaining. It's something to do, but you don't have to have it. The only thing you have to have is shelter, a place to sleep, and food and water. That's it. If you really think about that, if you really get down into the depths with that and understand it and accept it, then you'll be a happier person.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all these streaming services to watch all these shows. You don't have to have the Spotify's and the Apple Musics and everything.
Yeah,
to
because
listen to
let's
all the
face
music.
it, most of you have every streaming service and you watch maybe one show on each. And the only reason you actually subscribe, the only reason you still subscribed is for that one show that you've seen.
Yeah, yeah, and see, you can do that, right? If you want to do, if you think you want to do that, then go ahead and do that. But don't forget to fucking cancel the subscription then once you're done, like, because then you're just wasting money because you're not going back and using it. You're not watching it.
Yep.
Spend that 1 month because
It's
you can't
cheaper.
do a week or whatever.
It's cheaper to just go to YouTube and rent a $4 movie when you really want to watch a movie than it is to pay $20 a month for movies you never watch.
Yeah. You know,
You're
don't have to have
scrolling
the
through
Netflix. You don't have to
Netflix
have the
and
Disney.
you're scrolling through these streaming services just hoping and praying that movie you want to watch pops up. Man, go to YouTube and rent it. If you really care about that movie, go buy it. Then you never have to rent it again. And buy a physical copy if you can.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, that's kind of a dying thing these days.
Yeah.
Or at least it feels like that. At least it feels like it.
Well, look, taking off the cape's important. You have to take control of your own life. You have to choose how you want to live. Every one of you, I guarantee, has this idea in your mind of who you are. You have this idea of who you are, what you want to do, what you want to achieve, where you want to go. And most of the time, we just keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off for no reason. Just because we're hoping for circumstances to line up perfectly. Well, they never will. And it's hard. And me and Logan are not sitting here telling you it's easy. We're just sitting here telling you what's real. And the real truth is it's hard, but you just have to do it. For example, my life has become dramatically more simple since I started working the night shift, to the point where it's kind of depressing sometimes. But at least I have quiet. And quiet and stillness is extremely important in a world that's designed to keep you overstimulated 24/7. That thing in your pocket or in your hand or sitting beside you on the table, that little square, that thing distracts y'all so much that you're like vegetables, man. You know? And I get it. I've been there. And the thing is, a simple life, like you work, you spend time with family when you can, you sleep, and then you have some quiet in the day that you can study what you want to study if you're a student, or you can do it. I'll read scripture. And some nights I'll sit there and play a video game because I can, and no one bothers me. That's fine. You can take charge of your life and you can actually make your life that way. And then before you know it, you look at your life and you're like, well, I do X, Y, and Z. Why do I have all these other things I never use? Then you start to kind of realize you don't need half of it, like Logan said earlier.
Yeah. You don't. And I wish I could sit here and have all the answers to be able to tell you how to do what we're talking about right now. Truth is, I don't. I don't even know. I know I'm not even that good at it, to be honest with you. When I was working, I tended to bring work home more often than I ever should have. So I don't really know how to not do it, but it's important to understand and talk about, I do believe. So maybe you can figure it out, because it's important, but you don't even know it's important until you really think about it.
That's true. And you got to understand that when you quit or you retire or you leave, it's going to keep going without you.
Yeah.
So, you know, this video is not about religion, but there is a lot of religious scripture that helped me. But, whatever works for you guys, you got to find that yourself. Just don't
Yeah. I mean, it could
don't
be anything.
bring don't bring the rest of the world down with you, right? You gotta
Yeah.
take control.
Yeah. Don't don't let it affect you so much that it's ruining you.
Yep, because that is sad, my friend.
Damn.
Well, we just wanted to spit some truth to you guys and keep it real. You can do it. You just have to make yourself do it. I know these days we all want some complex answer that we can put on a spreadsheet and break down, first step I'll do this, second step this, third step. But the reality is, this answer is so simple it's stupid. And it is, you just have to take control and do it. You have to make sacrifices. You have to walk away from certain things that no one else walks away from. But you need to for your well being. And that is real. I don't have anything else to say about it, Logan. What do you have?
All I got to say is, like we went on a couple tangents in this here talk, But if there's anything that y'all need to take away from this, it's just that learn how to deal with both. You have to. Even though we didn't really give you the answer as to how to do it, because at least I don't know how, but I think it's important to start thinking about it and trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of, issues in your household and stuff would stem from not being able to do so. You know what I'm saying? I know mine did, So the most important thing to take away is just fucking learn. Figure it out and do it. And if you can't, then that means the job you're at isn't for you. Leave it, find something else.
And you know what? If you're sitting there and you already know the things you want to do and you should do in your life, just do it. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be comfortable. But most of the time you already know what you want to do. You already know what you should be striving towards. It's just you don't start.
Yeah.
You don't
And
try,
the thing is,
or you give
the
up.
thing is,
When you realize how boring it is. The real life is not some Hollywood celebrity streamers vlog where they're walking around all the beautiful places of the planet with a martini. Okay, that's not real life. Real life is boring and dull most days. So you just have to get comfortable with that. And you have to just make things happen, and then you'll see as time goes you actually build something worth being proud of.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I agree.
Yeah. Well, that's it for me, guys. I'll let Logan kind of end the video with any final thoughts, but it's been a pleasure making this video for you guys and talking to you. We appreciate you listening, so thank you for your time. And I'll see you in the next one. Logan, feel free to wrap it up.
Yeah, guys, I mean, pretty much we said everything we had to say. I don't really know that there's much more that needs to be said. It's just, find your lane, stick to it, and figure it out. It's just that simple. I know it's easier said than done, but that's what you got to do. And it's never easy, and it's never gonna be easy for anybody. But yeah, so I guess that's it. See y'all later, guys. Have a good old night.
See you later, guys.